Hello viewers, 2023 almost gone, and it's time for me to look into my crystal ball at my regular view of Australian stocks for the year ahead, 2024. I'm going to dig into the overall stock market to see where that could be heading next. That's the ASX 200. Then we're going to have a look at my shortlist. I think it's over 30 stocks that I pulled from for next year. I actually looked at the wider Australian stock market, and then I narrowed it down to just 5 that I'll be watching closely for next year. So with that, let's get straight into it. Firstly, a look at the Australian stock market generally. That's the ASX 200. Let's have a look at a few charts to see, where the levels are, where it could be heading next in 2024. So we've got a weekly Heikin-Ashi chart here for the Australia stock market, and I've gone out, set it to weekly, so it's quite a long-term view going back into spring of 2020, because I wanted to first of all show you this nice strong run up it had, really, up 73 and a bit percent there. And since then we've got this like box, really. So the last year or so, couple of years, it's been range bound, pretty flat, just sort of seesawing in between, bit more positive of late. Didn't quite get to these highs that we saw back in, that's August 21 and January 22, around 7,650, 7,670, in that sort of zone. Didn't quite get there, as you can see, but it is pushing up there as we come towards the end of 23 and move into 24. Now if it can break there, where could we see next? Well, in the real longer term, it's around about that 8,500 zone. So that's a real good upside opportunity if things improve. Downwards wise, well, first stop, I would round that up to about 7,000. You've got a lot of noise through that zone there. And then if it breaks there, that 61.8% key Fibonacci line, 6,400, 6,450. Have a look back there. We had about 5 touches on there, so that's an important price level. And again, if it sours further, then we're talking round numbers of about 6,000 for the next move down. But remember, this is a real longer term look, so let's just focus in. Let's use a Renko chart to get some levels for the nearer term. So we've now got our Renko chart up 20 block size. You can see a lot shorter going back to September, October time there at the beginning of the chart. We've got this nice run up from about October towards the end of October time, all trending good, pushing new highs around 7,600. Let's just measure that up move. What have we gained over the last about 12%, let's call it. Where next? So if it pushes on further, we've got 7, 8, 14 sort of area, 7, 9, 30, 7, 9, 50 maybe to the upside. If it fails here, it gets a bit exhausted, like some people are talking about. We've got these Fibonacci lines to think about. 7,400, 7,270, 7,275. That seems a key line. We sort of got this breakout above the 51, 7176 area. So we could be seeing that on the move down, more dramatically, maybe 7,050 sort of area, and then to that 7,000, all the way down there. But at the moment, the indicator pointing to the upside, so all looking good at the moment. That trend looking strong, trading above the moving average there. So some good upside still possibly to be had. And very quickly, if you're wondering where the ASX figures in the world scheme of things compared to other indices, well, we're down here. It's up 7.68% over 23 so far, so sitting down here. You can see the S&P 500 sitting there up 24-25%, and way up the top, the Nasdaq 100 up 54%, and just behind that, surprisingly, the Russian MOX 10 up nearly 47%. So lagging a bit, but still that can be encouraging. You know, it could be a good value proposition there for maybe some move on up into 2024. Right, let's get into those stocks and take a look at the sectors and industries that they come from. Right, so I've got 31 stocks for you to take a look at. Now, if you go on the left hand side, we've got it broken down by stock sectors, and we're covering 12, so a good spread there. Biggest one, non-energy minerals, technology services, but I've mixed it up a bit for this year, covering off some other areas: distribution services, retail, trade, producer, manufacturing, finance, health, technology. So spreading out the analysis. And then if we head to the right, it's pretty evenly spread out by the 20 industries. Biggest one, unsurprisingly, so precious metals. You know, Australian economy very good for commodities. What else we got? Packaged software, 14% there. Wholesale distributors, 7%. And then, like I said, broken out pretty evenly. So let's work our way through that list of 31. So this isn't in any particular order, not sorted by any type of size, etc, etc. It's just my list of 31. And if you pause and slow down the video at a future date, you'll get the full list of the 31. If you want to dig outside of the 9 that I'm going to narrow it down to, there are some other good stocks that just didn't quite make the final 9 that could be worth having a good look at. So let's go through the list from top to bottom. Apologies, now I got pulled up on this last year for my pronunciation of some of these Australian stocks. Apologies now for that if I say it in my very bad English accent. Let's get on with it. Unibel, Rodemaco, Westfield, the first one up there. And then Reese Limited, Zipco Limited, Perpetual Limited, Collins Food, ALS Limited, Nuix Limited, 7 Group Holdings, Cochlear, WiseTech, Codan, James Hardie, Boral Limited, Pro Medicus, Reese Limited, West Gold Resources, Megaport, Hub24, Resolute Mining, Red 5, Ordinate, Electro, Temple, Helia, Main, Aura, Banda Mining, Catapult Group, PYC Therapeutics, Beacon Lighting, Belleview Gold and Opthia Limited. Now, why I like this list over last year is, like I said, that spread into other sectors. And actually, if you go back over the last 2-year videos I've produced, we've actually got quite a few new stocks in there. The previous ones probably maybe more heavily on the mining side of things. This time we've got them in there again, but we've got a good dispersion of new stocks to take a look at. So that's the 31. Now let's narrow that down to the 9. I'm going to keep it simple with the chart analysis. I'm going to give a bit of brief introduction to the fundamental side of the stock, and then we're going to look at the longer term weekly hike in Ashi, as we did with the ASX 200, and then I'm going to focus in with the Renko chart for some more short-term price action, sort of numbers, levels, areas to potentially be targeting. So first up, we've got a company called WiseTech Global. Who are they? Well, they've got a market cap of about 25 billion, so a reasonable size. They are a software company, but they're into logistics and global logistics for that matter. They've got a platform called CargoWise. Covers off all parts of that process: transportation, warehousing, shipping, etc, etc. And as you can see from the weekly chart, I've gone back to, about March 2020. We can see, up to the highs that we witnessed in August of this year. It's up 780 odd percent. Then we had the pullback, and look where it's at, right at that Fibonacci line, just under $60, and then pushing back on upwards. And if it can get through the high areas of that $89 mark, much longer term, we're pushing on for $110. So what does that give us upside from now? That's about 50% return nearly, so that's looking very promising. So let's head into the Renko for some shorter term price action. And what sort of levels could we be looking at in the nearer term? Well, like I said, we've got this nice trend. It's trading above the moving average there. We're still bullish in those signals below. Downsides maybe, or where you might want to put your stops, some certain Fibonacci key numbers. I'd say around about $69, 64.5, just under that Fibonacci line, and then that real turning point back in October time. Just under that $58 mark for the downsides. And upsides, we've got to break through this zone here, which is $76.75, and then it's on up using the Fibonacci as a guideline. 81 3/4, 88, 89 as the highs, and then we're talking 96 and the lovely round number of $100. Then we have a company called 7 Group Holdings. Again, who are they? They are a company engaged in heavy equipment sales and services, equipment hire, construction materials, media, broadcasting, and energy asset businesses. So they've got fingers in a lot of pies. And to me, this is a economic recovery type of play. Maybe if those interest rates start easing, commodities, the other sectors pick up in Australia, then this is one to move on up further. And as you can see from that chart, it has certainly put in a good stint over 2023. If we go back to those lows about October of actually last year, we're up 125%, so a real good performance there from 7. Let's put on the Fibonacci's to see where we could possibly be targeting. Let's put it the other way around, it would help. Let's go there to there, high to the low. Potential longer term upside, maybe it can break on up. We're talking $42, $45, that sort of zone up there. Downsides, again, use the Fibonacci as a guide. You've got a lot of noise around here at just under $29, so I suggest that's a pullback zone. And again, this one around $24, $25 as another downside. You might see some sort of pullback and chance to buy the dip, or if it breaks on up, carry on, like I said, to those higher numbers. Then zooming in on the Renko chart, what have we got? Well, we got bullish current state of play, as you can quite clearly see from the signal and the trend, trading above that moving average, pushing new recent highs. Where could we be targeting? Just over $41.50 up to the mid $44. Downside pullbacks, we're talking $32, just under $29, and then $24. But again, another encouraging looking set of charts, and like I said, potential play for things picking up if the Australian and global economy take a better turn into 24. Number 3 on the list is a company called Reese Limited. They are into the distribution of plumbing, waterworks, bathroom heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration products, commercial and residentially, in Australia, New Zealand and the US. I had a bit of a bad 2022, as you can see from the chart. That big pullback in the price. It was trending up nicely at one point, down over half their price, but it has since recovered. It's been a slow recovery, but starting to pick up some momentum, up 75%. Still some way to go to the highs around $28.50, and if it can push on up through there, we're talking more around $32, $33. So from these levels, it's still got about 45% possible upside. And zooming in on the Renko chart, nice uptrend building. The indicators at the bottom, that's a stochastic trending upwards. Again, like the other two few stocks we've seen, it's pushing recent highs. This one's around $22. Then we've got 24.5, 24 3/4, and then up to $26. Sort of shorter term upside if things get going early next year. And downwise, we've got the pullback to this $20 zone. We've got a bit of noise over there, and then that key Fibonacci line, which is around about the moving average at $18.5, $19. Next up, we have Medicus. They are a healthcare imaging software and services company for hospitals, diagnostic imaging groups, and other related health groups, entities across Australia, North America and Europe. Got some great products there, and as you can see from the stock price, they've certainly been on a hot run, up 327% from those lows back in August time 2020, and it's been a pretty steady growth since. A bit of a pullback through 2022, half of 22, and then nice continuous growth on upwards to those current highs just under the $100 mark. Where could we be looking more longer term? Well, we got $116, $117, $127 to $130, giving you 30+% of potential upsides, pullback zones for those looking to maybe buy the dips if it fails at the highs here. Suggest this sort of area, $80, $81 to jump back in for another go. If it turns bad or worse in the sort of more medium term, pull back to $68, $69 where there's this price action. And the high back in 21 of August could be a zone again for a potential buy back in as things recover. Now into the Renko charts, and we've got a solid base around the October lows. We've got 3 touches there. It's about $50. We got the indicator still all bullish. We got that price trending up nicely above its longer term moving average, pushing up recent highs, $95, $96. Let's do the downsides first. Let's just drag that over a bit, or potentially where you might want to put a stop actually, if you're thinking of going long. First zone, let's use the Fibonacci ladder, $86, then $78, $79, and then down to this one here, 38.2% key Fibonacci line, $67, $68. So if you're going long, maybe stick in, depending on your risk tolerance, the stop under those numbers. And if we're pushing on upside, what we're looking at in the nearer term, let's drag that down, and we've got some numbers. $108.5, $115, and then $124. So it's actually a good value potential upside trade there. Now next up, Hub24 Limited, one of the smaller companies on the list. They're a financial services company, provide integrated platforms, technology, data solution to the wealth industry in Australia. And you shouldn't be put off by the size. They've been growing very nicely, as you can see there, from 2020 up to recent highs, which they're pushing now, nearly 500%. It's been good growth. Upsides looking at $44, $48. Let's just put the measure on that, see what sort of potential upside you got there. 30-40% possible upside. Got some nice Fibonacci sort of support numbers around that 17.5 there, then the 24.5. It's playing this Fibonacci ladder game, as you can see, through there, just under $30. So it does like playing these ranges. So watch out for those sort of pullbacks and buy the dip opportunities. But we got some numbers there, and then over to the Renko chart, bit shorter term price action. What could we be potentially looking at? Like I said, pushing the highs. Let's do it the other way around, get some upside numbers for you. And what are we talking? We've got there, looking at that, 38.5, 40, 42.5 to the upside in the shorter term pullback zone, $33. You can see there, all under that you know, spiking price action there. Maybe where you might want to put stop if you want to get in long. You can see the moving average building into there as well, so going under there for a potential stop, or you know, a bit more conservative under this number here, $31. And we've got this turning point here, so again $30. You know, these are potential pullback downsides if we've still got that point of view that it's going to bounce on back from there. And we're going even smaller again for our next choice, about 1.5 billion market cap. They're called Helia Group Ltd. Who are they? They are a insurance, mortgage insurance backed company. They provide lenders mortgage insurance, LMI, in Australia. You know, helps protect and provide protection to lenders to help them purchase a property with a smaller deposit. So it makes sense in this day and age. And as you can see from the chart, you know, we did get down to lows in 2020, didn't want to go below there, so that's at $1.33, and then it's grown 238% since then. Pushed recent highs, you know, just a few weeks ago, early December, around $4.50, then looking to break on up to $5, you know, sort of $6 push to the upside. And then into the Renko, what have we got? Again, all looking quite nice and bullish in the shorter term, going back to the summer of this year. You can see that nice growth above the moving average. It's still bullish there in terms of the indicator stochastics there. Upside shorter term, let's pull back and get some numbers for you. We've got just under 5, just over 5, and then that one at the top, 5.5, 5 3/4 maybe to the potential upside there. Downsides, what have we got? Let's have a look. Well, we got a lot of price noise there where it then sent into this range, broke on up, so that could be a key pullback zone to buy the dip or stick your stop under. Then the 61.8 at 3.5, again that runs through all that noise there that we saw back in September of this year, then go back down to the $3 mark, where again we had this sort of ranging type period before it really started to put in the growth up to the recent highs. Another recovery type play stock, you know, if the world's economy, the Australian US economy starts to pick up again, is a company called James Hardie. Who are they? Well, they manufacture and sell fibre cement, fibre gypsum, cement bonded building products for interior and exterior building construction applications. Like I said, in the US, Australia, Europe, New Zealand and the Philippines. So cover off a big area there. And on the charts you see they were having pretty good 2020, 21 and a bit of 22. See that price going up really strongly, 360 odd % before big pullback, losing over half the stock price down to the 25 zone where it's put in a base, and since then has put in a really nice strong recovery, trying to push those highs around $58. Got to get on up through there, so we're looking for a break up to 66, 71 sort of dollar area, but don't be surprised to see a pullback into the 51 or 45 area. We got a lot of price noise in September of this year and back in 21 before, you know, I said it recovers and then pushes on up. And then into the Renko chart, what have we got shorter term price action numbers wise? To the upside, we're talking $74, $75, and layering that up 64, 68, and like I said, the tops there 75 sort of dollar zone. Pullback areas, support areas 49.5, and then under that moving average there 61.8% Fibonacci line, $44, $45, and then on down to where you can see it, you know, pulled back to and then bounced on the way up. That's about $37. So just 2 to go, and I had to get in a good old mining stock somewhere in there. And you know, we're looking at gold here, and Belleview Gold in particular. It's a pretty small company, but does have upside potential. A lot of talk about gold going up further as things recover, interest rates come down, so possibly one to watch out for. Belleview, well, they engage in the exploration valuation of gold properties in Australia, holds 100% interest in the Belleview Gold project, which covers a huge area of Kalgoorlie in Western Australia. Like I said, looking at the charts, it's been a pretty good play. Gold has been picking up with more interest in the last few months, half a year. As you can see from the chart there, it's been nice, strong upside. And this one, if it keeps going and gold keeps going, where could we be heading? Well, we've got, you know, $2.25, $2.50. You can see small in terms of price, but big in terms of potential. Had those lows around 30 cents, let's call it, but a lot of support in here at that 65 cents area. And again, using the Fibonacci's, a lot of noise around that number, just over $1 and $1.25 for that sort of pullback zone to burst on upwards. And let's hit the Renko. Shorter term numbers to the upside, we've got just over 2 and 2 1/3 pullback zone, where you can see quite clearly all this price action. So let's call that the no man's land. 61.8 Fibonacci line is probably going to be the key one there. Possible buy the dip if gold weakens and then gets stronger again. What's that? $1.25, just under, and then down to about $1.25 just below that. That seems to be the area that you'd want to watch out for. You know, if it goes wrong, it's going to break down on through there. Short term, actually, it's not that strong at the moment, turn a bit bearish, so there could be a buy the dip opportunity awaiting on Bellevue Gold. And finally, we're going to round off with another really small stock. They're called Ordinate Group, and they develop and sell digital audio visual networking solutions in Australia and internationally. So potential there in terms of the fundamentals. Like I said, it's only small, about 1.5 billion of market cap, but it has been growing very nicely, as you can see from those charts. Back in sort of springtime 2020 onwards, we're talking near 600% increase in the price, looking stronger again, pushing highs around $16.50. Upside numbers, talking early 20s to mid 20s, and pullback zones, I'll be using the Fibonacci's, this sort of zone here and here. What we got? We've got 13.5, just over 11, and then this sort of sideways zone of price action, which is just under the $10 before it recently broke on out. Now into the Renko charts, what have we got short term wise? Well, we'll be targeting, I think, well, let's say 19.25, $21. So in terms of upsides, you know, that's not bad. That's 26-27% very quickly there. Interesting to see treble top building. You've got 3 blocks of beauty. The Renko chart, as you can see the price action a lot more clearly. So it has struggled to break the new highs, but that's good because, you know, we can build our chart analysis and look for that breakout on upwards to those levels once it possibly bursts. Pullback zones and support numbers. We've got the moving average there. It's trending above that. We've got about under $14, then $12, and then, you know, 9.5 sort of price zone there. Stochastic at the moment, just warming up back to the upside, so we could be seeing a potential break on up. So there you go, my 9 stock picks for 2024 for the Australian stock market. Very different list to the last few years that we've done. Less mining stocks, less of those traditional stocks, and stocks that are a lot smaller as well, with potential upside burst there. And don't also forget to go through the 31 stocks, because there were some others, you know, some pretty decent looking plays there that are worth further investigation. Now remember, these are just my ideas, so please do your own due diligence before committing your own funds. Do your own research. You know, these are, like I said, just my thoughts and suggestions for hopefully getting you started into next year's stock market trading and investing. Now if you've liked the video, please do give us the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, because we've got plenty new content coming up, some surprises in there as well for next year. Love to hear from you as well around this video. What stocks would you have in your, you know, watch list for 2024 in the Australian stock market? Where do you think it's heading next? What sectors, industries are going to be strong? Get firing those, you know, thoughts into the comments below this. Now if you've liked the video and you want to learn more about, say, the Renko charts, I've got a playlist coming up for you in a moment that's going to take you all through what you need to know how to get yourself going on charts. And hopefully, as you've seen, you can interpret the data, I think, with a lot less noise and a lot more clarity of where the price action might be heading next. And I can tell they're really simple, easy to learn and get using as well. So that playlist coming up right now.